everyone, welcome to this International Yankee English lesson. This was intended as a More on Monday lesson. However, I decided to swap my big announcement from Friday to Monday, and I moved the More on Monday lesson to Friday this week so I could make the big announcement a bit earlier. If you haven't watched the announcement, please make sure to check in my description box below for a link to that video. It's very exciting. So without further ado, we will get started now with 5 Latin abbreviations in English. These are most commonly used in academic English. I will start with a short clip from my top 10 confusing word pairs in English video. That was a Study Saturday 2-part video series. And then I will explain a bit further for you the 2 terms that appeared in that video. And then I will explain 3 additional terms, and then we will test our knowledge at the end. I will, of course, as always, explain the answers at the end of the video, and that way you will leave knowing exactly how to use these 5 Latin abbreviations. Before we begin, please make sure to like and subscribe. Let's get started. Okay, the next one, these are 2 abbreviations that originate from the Latin language, and they are EG and IE. So the easiest way to remember this is to look at the first letter of each of them. EG, the E should stand for example. EG means for example, and then you finish it, you follow it with your example. IE stands for in other words, and then you give the further explanation in other words. IE is an abbreviation written in lowercase letters. You should use a period, or in British English, full stop between the 2 letters, as well as at the end of the 2 letters. It means that is, or in other words. Also, many people use the phrase for instance. It stands for the Latin words id est. My apologies to Latin linguists or Italian speakers who think that I've completely butchered it. I don't know if I pronounced that correctly. You can see the spelling there. And it means, literally translated here, that is. Basically, when people use IE in a sentence, it is seeking clarification on a matter. For instance, you may say that it takes some time for coronavirus symptoms to appear, and then comma, i.e., approximately 2 weeks. So you want to make sure that you only use IE if it also would make sense for you to say that is, or in other words, or for instance. Try to replace the IE term with those phrases and see if it still makes sense. If it does, then that's okay. You have the green light to use IE instead of one of those phrases. Now, why would somebody use IE instead of one of those phrases? Well, in academic writing, it is a bit cleaner. We know that in academic writing, you do not want to use excessive language. So anytime you can save a little bit of space, it's always best to do so. IE should only be written with a capital letter if it begins a sentence to follow basic English grammar rules. And also it should always be followed by a comma. So you have the periods before the E and after the E, and then you follow it with a comma. Next up is EG, also written in lower cases with the periods, the 2 periods before and after the second letter, in this case G. It stands for, excuse my Latin, exempli gratia. I don't speak Latin, so you can look here at the spelling to see what I am trying to say in Latin. It means for example. So for example, your teacher may ask for a portion of your essay by saying, your homework for next week is to submit some of your essay, e.g. 2 pages. A really common Latin term is etc. This is written in all lower cases, etc, and followed by a period. It mostly comes at the end of a list with a comma preceding it. It stands for etc., and it is commonly mispronounced etc. As a result, often even native speakers of English will use it misspelled, so ECT instead of ETC. It translates to and others in a literal sense, or and the rest, but the more casual way of thinking about it is saying and so on and so forth, and some more, things like that. So you can give a list of items that you would like people to bring to a charity drive, a donation center. You may say, yes, the church is looking for donations such as winter coats, blankets, mittens, socks, etc. at the end of the items you have listed. The next one is N.B. and this is one of, if not the only, Latin abbreviation that you use with capital letters. This is commonly found in the endnotes or footnotes of a text or a book in order to add additional information that is important to point out or to highlight. It stands for nota bene, I think is how you pronounce it, which is a literal translation of note well. Okay, so make note of this. It usually will come at the beginning then, N.B. Sometimes also it is written without the periods, but it is then in an endnote, for example, NB, and then the thing that you want to bring the reader's attention to. You can also think of it as basically pay attention, and then the thing that you want the reader to pay attention to. The final one is one that I struggled to decide because I wanted to narrow this video down enough to make it digestible for you guys. If you are interested in learning more Latin terms and phrases or abbreviations in English that we commonly use in English, let me know in the comment section. I would be more than happy to make an additional video on the rest of them, or at least the common ones. But this one here is very important in academic rating, especially if you are using APA or MLA or Harvard referencing, because when you have more than one author in a text, there are several different rules. It could be 2 or 3 authors, or if you have 5 or more authors, then they don't want to have all those names written in an in-text citation, so you will most commonly use the first author's last name and then follow it up with this phrase, et al. This stands for et ali, I think, et ali, my pronunciation again. It translates to and other people. So that sounds maybe a little bit harsh if you've been working very long on difficult research with some other researchers and you end up having your name et al. But it does make sense. If you have a study that has 10 authors, you're not going to write out 10 authors' names every time you cite that study in an academic paper. So most commonly the main author or the first alphabetically listed author will appear, and then et al., this Latin phrase, will come after that. It is used kind of like etc., but instead of for things, it's used for people. Okay guys, the time has come. We are going to test your knowledge. So I'm going to give you guys a little bit of time. You can go ahead and read through all 5 questions or sentences and decide from the abbreviations that you've learned today, i.e., e.g., NB, etc., and et al., et space al, which one fits the best into the blank space, and of course I will provide the answers for you after. Good luck! Okay, so the answer to the first one is NB, meaning nota bene, because the author wants you to make good note of the opinions not being the opinion of everybody in the organization, simply the author. The second one is etc., which means and other healthy habits. The third one, et al., means and all other authors. The fourth one means that he taught in his native language. In other words, his native language is English. He taught in English. Number 5, EG, stands for examples of animal products. Okay guys, that is it for today. Thank you so much for watching. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe. And also, if you know anybody interested in my videos, be sure to share this with them. And also, make sure you check out my Facebook group if you haven't already. Also on Wednesday, July 29th, 2020, Central European Time, 8 p.m., I will be giving a free English conversation Zoom lesson for 30 minutes. So if you haven't, make sure to contact me in order to sign up for it. It is exclusive for my YouTube subscribers and Facebook group members. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you back here tomorrow for Study Saturday. Bye!